Hi, I'm Sally from Study Pool, and today I'll be talking to you about Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Alice in Wonderland was published in 1865, and classed as part of the fantasy genre. The narrative is highly metaphorical and deals with a lot of existential concepts as Alice struggles to understand the wonderland she finds herself in. Inspired by a young girl named Alice Liddell at the church where Lewis Carroll was a deacon, Alice in Wonderland has retained its status as an icon in British literature for over 150 years. However, when it was first published, Alice in Wonderland was met with negative feedback from its contemporary readers, who didn't understand Lewis Carroll's technique of combining satire with logic and pure fantasy. In fact, many brushed it off as nonsense. When we look past the absurdity of the novel, it becomes clear that Alice in Wonderland isn't actually nonsense, but incredibly insightful and cleverly written. The most obvious theme is the inevitable end of childhood innocence. Alice is unwavered by her environment and led solely by her curiosity and her childlike sense of wonder. However, upon her arrival in Wonderland, Alice is faced with potions and cakes labelled "eat me" and "drink me", and when she does, her body swells to the size of a house or shrinks to the size of a pinhole. Alice begins to become aware of her own appearance and her size, and constantly notices and frets about this and how she's going to come across to others, how she'll fit in. In fact, Alice learns that she has no control over her body when her neck becomes as tall as the forest and rises above the trees. It takes Alice a long time to feel comfortable within her own skin and understanding her body, which is a metaphor for puberty and the sense of a child becoming more aware of themselves and how they're going to fit in with their peers. The second theme we note is the randomness of life. Throughout Alice's time in Wonderland, she's met with a number of challenges that don't seem to make sense or have any kind of logical solution. In fact, whatever Alice has been taught or come to understand about life previous to Wonderland is now contradicted. Where she expects politeness, she's met with rudeness. Where she expects order, she's met with chaos. And where she expects reason, she's met with irrationality. Initially, Alice thinks that she's intelligent enough to understand Wonderland and comprehend all the complexities. But actually, she starts to discover with the Mad Hatter's riddle or the Queen's croquet game or the caucus race that nothing quite makes sense and she can't quite understand anything. Much like in real life, we can have all the resources and the research behind us that we need, but we'll never quite understand life or the world itself. It will always be full of a mystery that's just quite beyond our comprehension. The third theme we pick up on in Alice in Wonderland is perhaps the darkest. Lewis Carroll wants us to be aware of the looming presence of death in life. From the moment Alice follows the White Rabbit down the rabbit hole, it's clear that this could lead to her demise. And the first action she takes in Wonderland is to drink the liquid from an unmarked bottle. This could easily have been poison, in which case Alice's story could have ended just as soon as it began. Throughout her time in Wonderland, Alice is faced with dangerous situations and dangerous characters that she has no idea on how to deal with. In fact, she ends up aggravating many of these creatures throughout her time in Wonderland, and the Queen of Hearts even orders for her beheading, as well as many other characters in the novel. Alice is far too confident and far too naive to ever think of death as a possibility for her, but as mature readers experience the novel, we are aware that this is always an option, and Lewis Carroll isn't afraid of going near that. In fact, the Queen of Hearts represents death personified. She orders the beheading of so many creatures in the novel and is always a step behind them. Alice is lucky to make it out with her life. Thank you for taking the time to watch this study guide today, and don't forget that the link to the full study guide is below in the description. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel for many other study guides like this. Thank you.